Hello everyone, it is me again, it's HorrorFan34, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to another random listing video. Before I get onto that, give me 1 second. I got an itch on my leg, I don't know why, but I figured I'd do another listing video for you guys. I figured I'd pick another random year for you, and I figured why not 1988? I figured, well, why not? And I was looking through the movies that came out around 1988, and man, 1988 was a really good year for a lot of movies. I mean, some of the ones I didn't pick, I'll mention, like Beetlejuice and They Live and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I mean, The Naked Gun. I mean, there was a lot of really good stuff in 1988. So I'm going to go through my personal list of my top 20 favorite films of 1988. Now, some of these are going to be pretty no-brainers. Some of them are going to be kind of surprises, and some of them are kind of underrated movies that no one really knows of. But I'll get onto those when I get to that. But let's get onto the list. So, number 20 is a film that people be like, what in the world is this? But hear me out on this one. Number 20 is a film called Dead End City. Now, Dead End City was a film that I think was released direct-to-video in 1988. And I want to get the lead actor's name. What's his name? I gotta look it up real quick, so that way I don't mess it up. It's with Gregory Scott Cummins. Now, he's the lead. He had like a small role in like Cliffhanger and things like that. He basically plays a guy named Jack Murphy. He's a factory worker, and the basic idea, it takes place in this world where there's a renewal policy by the government, and it allows, gangs to try to take over the inner cities, and you have this particular street gang. I forget the name of the gang. They have a specific name for the main street gang in the film, but the main head of the gang is the maniac cop himself, Robert Z'Dar, may he rest in peace, who plays a guy named Maximum, and he's the leader of this gang. And basically this factory worker, Jack Murphy, like all the residents have fled the city because of the government and their policy about the gangs, but he's a factory worker who wants to stand ground and fight off the gang and protect his factory, and he has like a couple of people to help him out, and they build guns and things like that. I mean, it's a really pretty decent direct-to-video action film from 1988. I think the guy to play Jack Murphy did a pretty decent job. I mean, Robert Z'Dar, though, as the main villain, steals the show. He's fantastic, and I miss Robert Z'Dar. A really great character actor, whether it be like Maniac Cop or tons of other movies. I mean, I miss Robert Z'Dar. He passed away quite a while back, but really good movie. I enjoy the film, Dead End City. Number 19 is another one that's a pretty weird one that I love, but I had to mention it, but American Gothic. I know some places say that this was released in 1987 on IMDb, but I think it wasn't like released worldwide until 88, so I count this as an 88 film. But I have to talk about this one because it's such a weird movie. Basically, the idea is that you have these like 6 friends. They're flying to like this island for like a trip, and they get stranded out there, and basically they come across this house with these 2 characters known as Ma and Pa, played by Yvonne DiCarlo from The Munsters and Rod Steiger, both of whom are no longer with us. But you have also Michael J. Pollard, and pretty much like all the kids start getting picked off one by one by this family. It's a pretty weird movie, but I think it's a pretty underrated like slasher film from the 80s that no one really knows about too much. But I had to mention American Gothic. It's a pretty criminally underrated slasher. Number 18 is Above the Law, Steven Seagal's film debut. I mean, he plays Nico. I mean, it's a great movie, great debut for Seagal. You may be above the law, but you're not above mine. Great line. And directed by Andrew Davis, same guy that went on to do The Fugitive, and who previously did Code of Silence with Chuck Norris, and went on to do Collateral Damage with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, Andrew Davis has directed quite a few movies, and does a really good job with this one too. So, Number 17, I have it right here. The Presidio. Really good movie, The Presidio. Directed by Peter Hyams. Basically, you have a colonel played by Sean Connery and a police inspector played by Mark Harmon, who are not on the best of terms because of what happened in the past, and then they get assigned together to solve this case. And basically, Mark Harmon is in love with Meg Ryan, who is Sean Connery's daughter, and all that stuff. I think it's a pretty good movie by Peter Hyams. Pretty good movie, The Presidio. Let's see. Number 16 is Colors with Sean Penn and Robert Duvall. Really good cop movie. I mean, what more can I say about Colors already that hasn't been said before? It's a classic movie. One of Sean Penn's best movies, in my opinion. Same thing with Robert Duvall. Number 15, Hero and the Terror. Probably my favorite Chuck Norris film. I mean, I love Chuck Norris and like Missing in Action and Code of Silence, but this is my favorite one because it was kind of a different kind of take for Chuck Norris, because it was more like a horror action movie where Chuck Norris put away the serial killer years ago and he's escaped and he's back again, and Chuck Norris has to track him down. And I love the whole finale, the whole third act inside this movie theater with Chuck Norris trying to get the killer and things like that. And the killer, I think, was in the first two Superman movies, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember whose character he was in that, but I knew him from those. But really good one, Hero and the Terror. Number 14, I have it right here. A great underrated movie here, Shakedown, with Peter Weller and Sam Elliott, where Peter Weller is a lawyer and Sam Elliott is an undercover cop, and they have to uncover this police corruption scandal. Pretty good action movie, directed by James Glickenhaus, which I know he's directed on one or two other things I'm familiar with, but I can't remember. But really underrated action thriller, Shakedown. Let's see. Number 13, Scrooge with Bill Murray. Without a doubt, one of my personal favorite Bill Murray flicks. I think he's great as the Christmas Carol story, but more of a comedy where he's like a director and things like that. Karen Allen's in the film as well. Has a really good heart to it. I think Richard Donner did a great job directing the movie. I mean, Scrooge is a Christmas classic. I mean, I love Scrooge with Bill Murray. Number 12 is right here. Red Heat. Pretty good buddy cop flick with Arnold Schwarzenegger and James Belushi. Directed by Walter Hill. But I love the whole idea that these two are together, because they worked together a few times before and went on to do other stuff together. Like Last Action Hero, Jingle All the Way. I think these two had pretty good chemistry with one another. I love Arnold and Belushi together. It's a pretty good Walter Hill film that no one talks about. You also have Peter Boyle, Edo Ross, but pretty good buddy cop flick, Red Heat. Number 11, a Tom Hanks classic, Big. I had to mention Big as my favorite, as a great Tom Hanks film. Definitely one of my favorites of 1988. I mean, Tom Hanks, just plays his role really well. Has a good heart. I always love that scene where him and Robert Loggia are on the giant piano in the toy store. That's a really fun scene. All the people are watching them, and such a great scene. I mean, Big's a classic. Number 10, speaking of Robert Z'Dar, Maniac Cop. I mean, a great movie with Bruce Campbell, Tom Atkins, and Robert Z'Dar. Robert Z'Dar, once again, as the Maniac Cop is fantastic. Tom Atkins, Bruce Campbell, it's always cool to see them. Directed by William Lustig, who did the original Maniac. And what else did William Lustig do? Oh, Relentless. That's a pretty good movie with Judd Nelson. But I love Maniac Cop. Pretty good slasher movie. Number 9 is Rambo 3. Really underrated Rambo sequel. I love the whole idea. I mean, I love Rambo 3 to death. It's good action. I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail about all these because I'm just going through this list pretty swiftly. But love Rambo 3. Number 8 is right here. I reviewed this film before, Moving with Richard Pryor. Really fun comedy with Richard Pryor. Like I said, I reviewed this film on the channel already, so if you want to see a more in-depth review, go check that out. Number 7, I have right here as well, License to Drive. Probably my second favorite of the two Corey films. My favorite's The Lost Boys, but them as the stars, I mean, this is a great movie, great comedy. You also have Heather Graham in the film, Carol Kane, Richard Masur, who was in Stephen King's It, and John Carpenter's The Thing. But really good 80s film, License to Drive. Number 6 I have right here as well. Number 6, Heathers. Underrated. I mean, I think it's a pretty underrated dark comedy film. I know this one was released worldwide in '89, but it came out in Italy in 1988, so I kind of count it as '88. But really good one, Heathers. Number 5, Young Guns. Great movie with Billy the Kid. Probably my second favorite Western behind Tombstone. I love Emilio Estevez, Lou Diamond Phillips, Kiefer Sutherland, Charlie Sheen, and Casey Siemaszko, Dermot Mulroney, Jack Palance, Terry O'Quinn, Terrence Stamp. Great cast of people. I love Young Guns. Number 4, I have right here, The Blob from 1988. Great remake. Love this movie a lot. It's one of the best 80s films ever, in my opinion. I love The Blob. Number 3, I have it right here as well. Rain Man. Excellent film with Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise, directed by Barry Levinson. I mean, everybody's seen Rain Man. Number 2, of course, I have the poster. I'm looking at it right now. The first Die Hard film. Love Die Hard a lot. Classic action film. And you're kind of thinking, like, what's your number 1? My favorite film of 1988 at number 1, Cop with James Woods. If you have not seen Cop, I highly recommend you check this film out with ASAP. Where James Woods is trying to track down a serial killer, and the last shot of the film is so awesome. The last line, the last shot, the last scene. I mean, it's such a great ending. It's my favorite movie ending of all time. I'll just say it right now. Right there. So if you have not seen Cop, it's a great movie. So there you go. Those are my top 20 favorite films from 1988. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys next time. You guys take care.